Hey, welcome back to the garden. Behind me is a row of 18 apple trees planted on 45-degree oblique cordons, and I bench grafted those all this season. And I'm going to take you through my little project back here and show you what I've got going on. But I figured what I want to do is just give you a recap of the cost of this project, why I'm doing it, what I hope to get out of it, and kind of my takeaways of what it's like grafting all these trees. It's my first time doing it this year, and so far everything looks pretty good. A lot of the grafts have taken already, and it was pretty straightforward doing it. There was a little bit of kind of a learning curve, and a few of the grafts that I did looked like they didn't take, like some of them were kind of loose right off the bat, and I did regraft some of those, and I also ordered another batch of scion wood, which I then grafted up to a bunch of the different trees. But let's flip around here and take a walk through, and I'll share my notes with you. The setup for this project is pretty simple. I've used landscaping timbers for the overall frame, and then I have this brace here that's put together with just some threaded rod and a nut on the inside. So I just drilled a hole through and then put it together, punched a hole in here and put it together. And then for the supports going across, that is steel braided cable, and I believe it's used for deck railings and such. And so you can easily find that stuff on Amazon or eBay. I think all told, the materials for the trellis itself were around $100, a little bit under $100. And the one thing I would recommend that you do, these are just tied to these garden stakes with some just steel wire that's intended for fencing and that sort of thing. But as I was saying, one thing I would recommend is that when you go to put the turnbuckles on, these are the turnbuckles that allow you to get everything nice and tight. Back them up all the way to here. So back these all the way out just until the bolt is right at the end. And that way you'll have plenty to work with, because the first one that I put on, I didn't have it backed out far enough, and it's pretty much just like right at the end limit there. Here's an example of one of the graft types I used, a whip and tongue graft. The reason that I used a whip and tongue graft here is because both the rootstock and the scion wood were roughly the same diameter, and that makes them really easy to use this type of graft because they sort of just lock together in place. And as you can see, this one is doing pretty well. It looks like it's hard to know if the graft union is healing or not, but it's certainly driving some growth of the leaves here. And if we pop over right next door here, we have an example of the other type of graft that I used, which is what I call a bark graft. And that one is more just kind of tacked on to the side here. And basically, when you're doing a graft, the most important thing is to get the green part of the cambium to line up at the base where the scion meets let's pull this back here, at the base where the scion meets the rootstock or the branch. We've got all different varieties in here. A lot of red-fleshed apples, some crab apples, lots of different stuff. I haven't hooked up the drip irrigation yet, but it's getting warm here, and that will be done soon. Here's another little project area here. I've got some extra trees. I ordered extra rootstocks and extra scion wood because I figured I'd have some that would have failed. I did 34 trees, and so far it looks like maybe only 3 or 4 of those trees aren't doing too well. There's a couple examples over here. And what I started doing later on, like I mentioned, I regrafted some, and I started using a grafting wax made from latex paint and wood glue. And so that's a 80-20 mixture, 80% latex paint and 20% wood glue, and it's just stuff I had laying around. And it does seem the purpose of that is to keep it fresher. So it really did seem to make a difference once I started to apply it. I don't know if that, like, the extra moisture that it holds in causes it to start sprouting, or it keeps it warmer, but I noticed as soon as I hit some of them with the grafting wax, they started to go. The leaves started to come out. So that's pretty much it for this area here. Is going to have some seedlings. I'll probably work in some footage of that. And then this is my area for future rootstocks. So down here I have a rootstock that's buried about to here, and it's going to just put out a bunch of branches, and those will generate roots and more rootstock, so that I can play around with stuff and have some trees to give away to friends and family. Along the bottom of the bed here, I've got 50 strawberry plants planted. The idea is that those will be a ground cover, and they'll fill in this whole area down here with strawberries, and they are a daylight neutral variety, so I should get a small crop in the summer and then another small crop in the fall. And hopefully it's enough for me to make some jam, or just have fresh strawberries to enjoy, because who doesn't like fresh strawberries? This is one of the apple trees that I grew from seed. Planted it in 2020, and now it's 2 years old. I've started to framework it a little bit, and that process was done by picking off the buds that I didn't want and leaving a few buds there. And what I did is I just notched above the branch there with a chainsaw file, which is stimulating the growth. And as you can see, it's worked pretty well. And I've got these wires here to shape the branches how I want. And the graft on top looks pretty darn healthy too, so I'm happy about that one. This one is one of Stephen Edholm's varieties called Cherub, so thank you for that, Stephen. Here's that cold frame that I built from junk a few years ago. It's still surviving, doing well, and this is where I'm hardening off my apple seedlings that are in various stages of maturity here. And I think these ones here, they're about a month old or so, and these taller ones here, they've been growing for a few months, and I feel like they're just about hardened off so they can go into the bed with the other stuff. And here's yet another batch of apples that will be seedling apples. I just started these the other day, actually yesterday, and I've got them in these paper pots with the name of the apple that they came from written on them. And this batch has some envy apples, and it also has some cosmic crisp apples, and those are only available to certain growers, and I won't be able to get those. So if I want to grow that type of apple, then I gotta use seeds. And it's free, and it's also fun to see what the apples will turn into, what you get. And I've already gotten 8 trees going that I've grafted other varieties on, so I can leave some of the branches of the original seedlings, or I could just regraft the entire tree. So there's a lot of different options that you have when you're growing stuff from seed, and highly recommend you save your seeds and grow some apple seedlings. If you don't use them yourself, you can probably find somebody that might like them. And here's something that I'm pretty excited about. Several years ago, I planted a number of serviceberry bushes, and this one is just finally starting to set fruit. So we'll be doing a taste test of that later once I am able to pick some fruit, but I'm looking forward to that. I'm really excited. It's been quite the wait. So I hope you enjoyed that brief tour. I'd like to get another video out before the end of the year here, and we'll check up on the apple trees, see what ones survived, what ones didn't, and give you my takeaway over the course as the summer progresses and things grow and mature here. Stay tuned for more hacks and builds, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.